In this video, we're going to try and break Midjourney. We've all done it where we've tried to encourage a certain look by giving similar art styles like Renaissance and Romanticism. What happens if we put polar opposite art styles? What is Midjourney going to think? Is it going to go one to the other? Or is it going to combine them? What's it going to do? All right, let's get into it and find out. All right, right out of the gate, we have Neoexpressionism and Romanticism. Neoexpressionism, it emphasizes raw emotion, it's bold brushwork, social critique. It's often portraying angst and fragmentation. Romanticism, on the other hand, celebrates imagination, nature, and the sublime, and it features dramatic landscapes and intense emotions. Neo-expressionism reflects contemporary world in a gritty, fragmented imagery, while romanticism captures a longing for the mysterious and awe-inspiring natural world. So let's take a look at this. This is a woman in both of these styles. Boy, I mean, I see the emotion. Romanticism is typically a little bit more realistic. So I see that we have these bold brushstrokes yet, but almost on top of the realism. Geez, look at number 3. That is just beautiful. I love it. That's a beautiful painting. Doesn't that make you happy? Here's our cheeseburger. Cheeseburger's always difficult. Oh my God, number 3 again. That, I can definitely see the romanticism. And this is a godlike cheeseburger. That must be good. Looks like it has Spam on it. But yeah, Neo-expressionism and Romanticism. I see a lot of expressionism in this. Sometimes the order of operations, if you put the Neo-expressionism before the Romanticism and the Romanticism before Neo-expressionism, you can get different responses. This looks like with the cheeseburger, it's leaning more to the expressionism, except for number 3, a motorcycle. Look at that. Look at the energy and excitement in these. I have no idea what's going on in number 1. I've never seen that just, it looks like the motorcycle is going in 2 different directions, and the guy on back has handlebars also. But very cool here. A lot of emotion, and we can see the grittiness, of the Neo-expressionism in this. Oh boy, this is a good combination. Number 1, it's got the beauty, but it's also gritty. It's and expressionistic, but it's also the mystery of the natural world. Number 4 too. I mean, they all are. Those 2 are just popping out at me. They're popping off. The octopus. Oh, look at number 4. That thing, it's awesome. Look at that thing. You definitely see the expressive. And remember, Neo-expressionism is a revisit to expressionism, the original movement of expressionism. Look at number 4. That is really cool. I love the complexity. I love the expression. The expression of even the curves through it are just wild. And, I think that's a good combination because it's also softened by the romanticism. Here's the houses, again, when you have the landscape, all of these evoke the awe of the natural world, of course. These houses aren't put in suburbia, but it also has the texture of expressionism and the grittiness of that. Number 1, just, wouldn't you want to live there? Number 4, it's got a very European feel to me. Number 3, house on the lake, very, very expressive. Yeah, all right, so there we've just mashed Neo-expressionism and Romanticism. Pretty cool. All right, this one might be my favorite of the bunch. I didn't want to lead off with it because my last video, I actually included one of these, so I kind of wanted to break it up. But these opposing styles work great together. It's Gothic art and mid-century modern illustration. And I did mid-century modern illustration in my last video. I know, I didn't want to be repetitive, but boy, do these work together great. Gothic art is it emphasizes religious and supernatural themes. It often exaggerated forms, figures, intricate patterns, dark atmospheric settings. In contrast, you have mid-century modern illustration. It embraces simplicity, clean lines, a minimalist aesthetic. It emphasizes bold colors, geometric shapes, and a sense of optimism and futurism. Completely, even the Gothic is kind of like doom, gloom, emo, where we're, mid-century modern was perky, upbeat, optimistic. While Gothic evokes a sense of mystery and divine, mid-century modern celebrates modernity, functionality, and forward-thinking mindset. These could not be more opposite. But let's take a look at them. All right, we all watched Wednesday Addams. We know what Midjourney's thinking. These are awesome. I love the combination. I love all of them. They are all fantastic. Mid-century modern and Gothic. I can't even say anything because I love all these images. The hamburger. Okay, you got your churches, your church steeples. It looks like bats. You got your religious tone and then your flat mid-century modern type illustration. Beautiful. I could put like these on a t-shirt. I might do that. Don't steal my idea. All right. The motorcycle. These are pretty plain. I'm neither here nor there. 1, 3, 4, very mid-century modern. Number 2, I think it got a Gothic-y look, something Batman would drive, but yeah, I don't think the mashup on the motorcycle worked very well. Oh, the landscape. These are awesome. I love them all. Jesus. 1, beautiful. Reflections, beautiful. The color palette, stunning. Kind of a modern city in there. 2, you got the old Gothic-y, the old church. So you have your religious undertones of the Gothic, and then you have the color palette of the darks and the grays and the earth tones, but it's done in a mid-century modern, graphic design, flat lay or flat design. And number 3, look at this. You got people ice skating. Are you kidding me? Like Midjourney? Look at you and your ice skating. That's really cool. It's not dark Gothic-y. It's this, maybe that's an influence of the mid-century modern optimism. It's happy, but it's just got this feel to it that's looming, like something's looming. And same thing with number 4. More ice skaters, I guess. Or they walk on water. Maybe it's Jesus. They put Jesus. Okay, there you go. We're throwing down the religious. All right, they're walking on water. Number 3, it looks like the guy's got a cape. That's definitely ice skating. But, the octopus. Look at this. Beautiful. You definitely see the Gothic inspire with the intricacy of the tentacles, but you also see the flat, screen printed look, in 2 on top of it. It's an excellent combination, and it also kind of has this wallpapery feel that you would have seen in our mid-century homes. Beautiful stuff. Oh, the houses. Mid-century modern has such an influence on architecture, especially here in America. Everyone wants mid-century modern. Number 1, stunning. That's amazing. It's beautiful. It's, Number 2 is your quintessential mid-century modern, clean line architecture, but it's also like there's something ominous about it. That Gothic feel. Like maybe that guy standing there is, he's something up with him. Maybe he's a werewolf or something. I don't know. And waiting for that moon to come up above. That's just stunning. I just love that. Number 3, we kind of have this feel of, what is it? Retro future mid-century. Mid-century retro future. You know what I mean? But very cool. I mean, that looks clean lines, but it's like they make the sunsets feel like there's this like, I don't know if I want the sun to go down. And then on the other hand, you got number 4, which kind of throws in more of a Gothic theme to the architecture, but does it in a mid-century modern clean line illustrative look. Again, this is my favorite. I love this stuff. I am going to be using this a lot. All right, so that's Gothic and mid-century modern illustration. Great combination. Here's our next one. It's Surrealism and Hyperrealism. Now, these two don't have to be conflicting because they're almost two different. It's almost you can execute one using the other, but they are, I mean, I think the fact that they contrast each other actually makes them more powerful. It strengthens their qualities. So surrealism is about the world of dreams and subconscious and irrational, and often it features bizarre, unexpected imagery and elements that challenge reality and evoke a sense of mystery and symbolism. That's a big thing, symbolism with surrealism. Now, hyperrealism, also known as, it can also be called photorealism, it wants to create images that look like photographs. It wants to evoke, and photographs want to look like real life, represented in a 2D plane. So it's the realism of it. Artists, usually achieve this with meticulously rendering details when they're painting at a hyperrealist level, and it almost makes it indistinguishable from a photograph. I'm sure you've seen things on shorts and TikToks and time lapses of people drawing these just amazing like drawings and sketches that, oh my God, that's a drawing. That's not a picture. That's not a black and white picture. Hyperrealism captures ordinary subjects with extraordinary accuracy, emphasizing every minute detail to create an intense sense of realism. This is hyperrealism. While surrealism engages with the realm of imagination and symbolism, and hyperrealism seeks to replicate reality with astonishing precision. So let's take a look at it. Here's our woman. Look, I just love number 2. That is just phenomenal. That, and number 1, you got these birds flying around, but it's done in just such a realistic way. It's photorealistic, but dreamlike. Just phenomenal stuff. God, I really like number 2. I have no idea what it's saying, what it's symbolizing, but it's awesome. I love the fact that her eyeglasses are asymmetrical, and because I'm trying to look, it almost looks like everything else is symmetrical except for her eyeglasses, which are just wild, and then her shoulders are asymmetrical. That is just beautiful work. It's amazing, the detail, because that is something really important to realism, is the asymmetry, that nothing is rarely identical on both sides. I gotta click on my screen here. All right, look at this. This is our cheeseburger. It's putting our cheeseburger in these different scenes and scenarios, and it's almost like a cheeseburger in a landscape. The one that really captures the combination, I think, of surrealism and hyperrealism is probably number 4. The most. Everything else just looks like almost a macro photograph in an actual landscape. But number 4, with the stuff flying around and everything, kind of gives a dreamlike feel, and the scale of the bushes that adds to the feel. It's almost like it has that texture of like bushes and stuff you would see with model trains. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but there you go. All right, the motorcycle. All right, number 4 again. It's kind of got a surrealist look. Kind of dreamlike. I mean, I guess they're all dreamlike, but I don't know. I don't know if that subject matter really plays to the combination of these two. All right, the landscape. Oh, number 4 again. Number 3, number 1 and 2. They're all nailing it. They because you have these very precise globes and curves, and I mean number 2 is beautiful. That reminds me of it's got an Iceland vibe of the combination of rocks to grass, and then you have this kind of house thing that's built on the tree. It's like depending on the tree. I think these work really well. And then the symmetry of number 4 is pretty cool, and definitely gives a really cool vibe of dreaminess and lack of reality, but it's also done in a realistic manner. It doesn't make sense because, I doubt you would see an island cut off by the fog like that dramatically. That's really cool. I think all of it. I think the landscape worked well with the combination of these two. Oh, our octopus. Oh my God. Look at number 1. That is awesome. Number 2 is awesome. I mean, come on. Got the clock. Clocks are always a big symbol in the surrealist landscape. And number 3, that's cool. I mean, it's dreamlike because that town that's out on the pier on stilts is kind of going with the ocean. Like you wouldn't have that, and you got this crazy octopus, and it gives me the vibe of like a sea monster type thing, obviously because it's an octopus and everything, but it's also cute-ish in a way. It's got this cute vibe to it, but it's also, I mean, it could be destructive. It's like he's misunderstood. I think that's what it is. And then look at number 4. That looks so cool. I love the color palette. I love how the reds and oranges play off that beautiful blue in the background. But Octopus's Garden right there. I never thought that's kind of a surrealist. I guess does music have surrealism? Because Octopus's Garden I would say that's did you know, so a little tangent here, octopuses really make gardens. They collect things and maintain it. I think I heard Ringo Starr talking about it. But anyway, back to the point, I would say that would be a surrealist song, and look at that. This stuff just turned out really, really neat. And come on, that is awesome. They're all quirky and impractical yet realistic, like especially like number 4, like this, is it Victorian architecture? I think that's got a vibe of a Victorian. I'd have to look into my architecture books. And number 1, it's like built on looks like a tree house that's built on a tree that's way too small to hold that up. Number 1 is just a mix and match and desert oasis. I mean, number 3, very minimalist and out there. It's awesome. And so is like the netting coming off of number 2. It's amazing that Midjourney picks up on these themes, and it gets it in the reflection. Amazing. All right. So that's surrealism and hyperrealism banging heads together. All right. For our next one, we are gonna just throw these two into the ring together and see who wins. It's pop art and Renaissance. Renaissance, the big one, the heavyweight of all of our art styles. So pop art, it draws its inspiration from popular culture. That's where it gets its name, pop art, mass media, and often recognizable imagery and vibrant colors to critique consumerism and celebrate everyday life. It embraces boldness and irony, a sense of playfulness. In contrast, you have Renaissance, which focuses on classical ideals. It focuses on classical ideals, meticulous detail, and religious or mythological subject matter. Yeah, we've all seen Renaissance paintings. Renaissance artists aimed for realistic I'm just tripping over representations. Oh my gosh, employing techniques such as linear perspective and chiaroscuro. That's lighting technique, so very dramatic, way to to spotlight your subject. It's harmonious compositions, balanced proportions, and it's a sense of ideal beauty. Pop art engages with contemporary culture and challenges traditional artistic conventions, and Renaissance celebrates classical traditions, and it aims highly for detailed, harmonious compositions and imagery. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, this is a woman, and you see the ideal beauty, but it's portrayed in bold color, bold graphical feeling. So I mean, all of these are fantastic. You're almost stunned by how Midjourney is figuring out how to mesh these two, and you have these just idyllic face proportions and symmetry, but it's surrounded by bold graphical hair and background patterns. Stunning stuff. You could absolutely use this in some form of advertising, marketing. I could see this working very well. The cheeseburger. I mean, hey, we got to sell cheeseburgers. Look at how thick the cheese is on number 2. There's some thick and I don't know, is that cheese on number 3? Thick cheese. These are kind of painterly. You're definitely feeling the pop art inspiration, but it's also cheeseburger didn't exist, back in the Renaissance, so it's probably leaning heavier into the pop art aspect of it, and pop art was used to sell cheeseburgers, so I'm not surprised that we're seeing a little bit more of the pop art influence in this. Oh, the motorcycle. Look at that. I mean, there's a lot of energy in these. Midjourney's getting to the point where, it's handling motorcycles better. It used to be that it didn't understand, how the handles had to be, it didn't understand the mechanics, had to be relevant in the imagery. And now it's starting to get that, and most of the time. But you can see the pop art, kind of that splatter, screen printing. I'm not sure if I'm not seeing the Renaissance influence on this. Did we break Midjourney? Did we break it? But very cool. Okay, so the landscape. I would say so here's my interpretation of what Midjourney's doing. It is obviously rendered in a pop culture aesthetic with these color-blocked geometric shapes, but the compositions feel Renaissance influenced, except number 3 feels a little bit too flowy and floaty, although I do love that. I like it a lot, but I would say like number 1, number 2 feel that it has the leading lines. It has, I would say that those hit a Renaissance type composition rendered in a pop culture. It's almost like a pop culture, I'm going to take care of the rendering style, and Renaissance steps up and says, okay, I'll take care of the composition. That's how I'm seeing these two, fight it out. It's almost like they're getting along by staying on the opposite sides of the ring. Like, okay, you hold your end, I'll hold mine. The octopus. All right, well, this is pop culture, definitely. Although I'm not familiar with mosaics, Renaissance mosaic. And I'm sure there's a lot of, I wonder if that's influencing this. I'm going to have to look into that. I'm not sure what the aesthetic for mosaics were in the Renaissance, but that's pretty cool stuff. I mean, definitely usable. And what a way to create like a unique look, throw two opposing art styles at each other and see what Midjourney does. And then, you can use repeat. You can use, what's the other thing? I do it all the time with the swirly brackets. And, you can put all these options in. And, you could fire off a load of stuff at Midjourney and see how it deals with it. And the house, all right. I would say number 4 is a really interesting combination. It's painting in these bold geometric shapes, but it seems to have the nice focused lighting that you would see in Renaissance. I mean, I guess I could say the same for number 2, but where the lighting is really the Renaissance feel, the soft lighting that really gives a spotlight effect. I see that in 3 and 4. I'm sorry. And I think 1 and 2 are a bit more pop art influenced, I would say. Very cool though, the geometric interest in how the geometry is melding these two. But I would say 4 definitely, 3 has elements of Renaissance. But there we go. All right, there is pop art meets Renaissance. Ding, ding, ding. Thanks for experimenting with Midjourney 5.1 today. I had a great time, and I think techniques we went over today could really bring your AI artwork to the next level. If you do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and throw a comment up there. I love the conversations we're having. All right, till next time.